Welcome, FM enthusiasts. Welcome to Attention Undivided, where we go in depth with some of the most interesting voices in music. Before we start, I'd like to give a full apology to my phone. Phone, since when you didn't have a case, I treated you well. I treated you tenderly. Since you got the case, I've been throwing you all over the place. I'm inconsiderate. I'll get better. I'll be better. We have
That's what they're made for.
Yeah. You got to be honest. You got to keep the relationship honest. I've been mistreating the phone. So I am lucky enough to have with me one of the people that's been in my ears all year. We're talking about Andrew, who released Pop 1967 and then followed it with Manual Labor. Pop 1967, Manual Labor. You produced it all. You put it out through You Don't Deserve This Beautiful Art. And what a time. I mean, it's a project that's been climbing my best of list.
Thank you.
To an unbelievable degree. And I'm very happy to have you. The story is that Zilla sent me it, of course. Zilla Rocca.
Yeah. Shout to Stevie.
No kidding, man. So he sends this to me, and I say to him, I said, "Holy shit! If Blind Melon came up in this rap era, this is what they would try and do." And it was so interesting to me. Is that an offensive characterization? Is that okay?
No, that's fine with me. I'm not offended.
Good deal. No, it's such a groove, an inherent groove, but beyond the groove of these songs, there's first of all, there's crazy punchlines, really high level shit, and there's a lot of frustration in the work. So that's what did it for me. And obviously, I mean, I was content to just write about how great you are from a distance. But I think once Manual Labor came out, I was like, we got to talk. I mean, this is because that was real high level venting.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, I feel like it's, I mean, for me at least, but I feel like for a lot of people, it's that's what it's there for almost. You know what I mean? It's like a therapy session in itself. It's a release. It's how you can continue to operate in the world without like driving yourself crazy. It's like saying things out loud makes you feel better sometimes. So it just, it was just, that's always been my way of kind of like getting just like kind of working through things. So it just makes sense.
That's awesome. So how's the reception been to these releases?
I mean, all the reception that I have got has been definitely good. I'm not, it's not like super out there, and it's not like I'm getting messages and getting hit up by people on the regular. But I mean, I feel like everyone that has heard it has been, has had super good things to say, which is always really, it's nice. It feels good to make something that people can actually connect with and can appreciate. So definitely been getting good reception thus far. Obviously, it's nice because since Zilla has been kind of throwing it around to people that wouldn't have otherwise known me, it's kind of nice that I feel like with this, I'm definitely kind of reaching a wider audience than I had in the past. So that honestly is the best thing for me. So, I mean, I'm going to make the music either way, but it's nice when you can get it to get spread a little further. So it's been cool. It's been cool to see.
That is awesome. No, it's very cool that you're that centered and just saying like, hey, it's cool that it's bigger than it was, but if it wasn't, I'd still be on the same road.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
100%.
So yeah, it's just there's a lot of places to go here. So, but way to the world, with necessary people producing it,
Mhm.
it was a different sound. I'm a big Ialive fan. I think
Yeah,
his music is very kinetic and it's very realized, right? It moves.
100%.
Um, and so Weight of the World really pops with songs like Coins and just like it's vibrant.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think a lot of people should hit up Ialive if they're missing that sound, right? If they're like,
Yeah.
you should do the call. He's great. But
He's the best. I love that dude. He's like one of my best friends actually. So like that's how that all even came to be. I just I always worked with him, and that was just kind of the product of us doing some stuff, and then it turned into the necessary people because I was working on some songs with him, and then Height was sending me some beats as well, and then they had been making some beats together as well as necessary people, and they hit me with some of those. So I had some Don beat or some ILI beats, some Hype beats, and then some both. And then the ones that they had made individually, they just kind of sent to each other and then put a little of like their own flavor on it, which was
oh wow,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it really started not to, at first it was just me and I Alive were working on some stuff. I used to record a lot with him, and just we would just be hanging out and just kind of like mess around with some stuff. And then I once Height had sent me some stuff, and I had a couple songs on each of theirs. I think that's kind of where it stemmed to be like, oh, we should just do this as a necessary people record. So it was cool. They
That's
both have really awesome styles, and they're both like great people. So it was an awesome project to work on with them.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because it seems like you didn't really step in there being like, this is an EP or this is an album. You were just making songs and it just kind of
Yeah,
kept going, right? Yeah.
yeah, and it was funny. So that that album was like it was weird. So we were recording some songs, and like we had this and that, and then once we kind of figured out that it was going to be the necessary people thing, we had some more songs to do, but it was right when the pandemic like was really hitting,
Hmm.
and we weren't even really able to finish up everything we wanted to do with it. So it kind of just came out as like the 9 songs,
Mm.
and we couldn't really do much more with it, unfortunately. I mean, I guess we could have, but instead of like putting a halt on it and then waiting, it was like just put out what we have and then keep moving. So it was definitely challenging because there was some things that were like, okay, we have this, but we want to at least get these couple more. So we kind of like had to work around some stuff to get it done. But it was it's cool to work with those guys. I love them both. So they're both super talented, and I felt thankful to be getting stuff from both because they're just like it's just crazy. They have such cool styles, like the stuff that they flip and the little things that they do, the little intricacies in the
Yep.
beats that like you don't even maybe realize all the time, but then when you like hear it more and more, you like pick it up. It's just really, really cool.
And I feel like I Alive has gotten a little chance to flex with Donovan Days and really like just showing his guitar and bass playing skills are just great. And he's just really ornately musical in this psychedelic way that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. I was really hyped that he did that project because Donovan is just so much more than just he's an amazing producer, amazing like lyricist,
Yes.
just kind of everything. But he's just so much more than just that, and it was cool for him to just kind of like come out there and just like fully just hit that and just be like, yeah, I can do this too. Just kind of like let it be known, because he's so much more than just what he might have been previously thought to be. So, and I was like, I got to hear all those demos as they were being made and stuff, and it was really cool to see the progression of the songs and how it all came together, because that record is super, like, it's got a lot of different sounds, but it's still very cohesive at the same time. So it's really cool to watch him put it all together.
So pretty. There's just so he's like, that's the thing about Ialive, is he can flex. Like if you look at I love him on Pamplemousse. I love like
Yeah.
that reverse on Pamplemousse. He's got a real interesting creative mind when it comes to lyrics.
Yeah.
But he's not scared of pretty little sounds, like Little Shadow, you know.
Mhm.
Just and I think that's really powerful, that there's nothing really off limits for him.
Not at all.
Continuum of what he's doing.
Yeah, he can really do anything, truly. Like, I really believe that he could do anything at a high level. So, and he's like, that's just like my guy. So naturally, when I flipped the Pamplemousse beat, I like showed it to him that like the same day. And I was like, yeah, so we're just gonna have to do this one. And he was super into it. So it was cool. It was cool that he got on there. And also it was like, musically and just in general, like, we're super close. So I've been rapping on his beats now for like some years. He'd been recording me.
Right.
It was cool to like flip the script and like get him on something that I made,
That's a good
so that was really cool. Because as much as of a friend, I'm a fan of him. So naturally I wanted to get him on it. So
yeah, no, it's and you brought a really interesting point that got me thinking, which is there's so many artists who were finishing up a record right as COVID happened, and they decided to just like, I'm just gonna sit on the record, and you end up like staring at this fucking record for another year.
I will never do that again.
Ready for like months. And so I think you made the right call of just being like, send it and let me clear the circuit, put a new thing together.
Yeah. I feel like there's been so many things over the years that I've like worked on or had written, had down, had whatever, recorded, maybe even, that just like either never came out or we never got into sessions with someone to actually lay it all down, even though the songs were all completely done. There were so many things over the years that just like never saw the light of day, that at this point I'm just fully over that in general. I'm going to make the music that I'm making at the time. I'm going to put it out, and then I'm going to keep moving forward and like I'm not just going to like, oh, well, I'll wait for the time for this one. No, like the time is you make it and you put it out, and then you keep making music.
Yeah, no, everybody has to kind of face that. I mean, I remember when I was putting out my first book and my sister said, you shouldn't do it. And I said, why? And she's like, well, if you're not 100% ready, it's going to look bad, like in the public. People are going to see it. They're going to see the errors in it, and you're going to look bad, right? Like, you need to be 1,000% before you ever do anything. And I was like, no. I put it out. And I still enjoy it. It's got syntax errors, whatever, but like, and my next book was much better. But
yeah,
that's life, man. Like, you live.
Yeah.
Your commitment as an artist is to live in the space.
100%. And it's also like, when are you ever going to be 100 or 1,000% ready for anything? Like there's always, oh, I want this one more song, or I want to do this or this. Like, yeah, like there's always more, but that's why you continue. And then you just, like you said, you put out your first book and then your next one was better because you were like, okay, I want to do A, B, and C differently, or I want to like, you like you furthered whatever you were, working on because of that. So
Right.
it's just like, this is like our work. This is like what we do. And it's just like sad to think about one day if you get down the line and be like, oh, I should have did this, or I should have put this, or whatever. So just do it. It's just like, who cares about what people, someone's going to say something about it no matter what. You're not going to win 100% with everyone no matter what. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying rush things out the door, but, like, do it correctly and just do it how you want it, get it out there, and then like just progress and do, try to work on it further the next time. You'll see, you'll put it out, you'll see what you wanted to do different, you'll see what you maybe did wrong, or whatever you did right that you didn't think was gonna, you didn't think it was going to be received one way and it was, and then you kind of keep going with that.
And I couldn't agree with you more. One of the major points that I keep saying over and over again is that art is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to do. It's embarrassing to perform, and people need to kind of have a better understanding of that. The proof of that is the guy at the house party that you run into who's writing a book, right? And he's like, I'm writing a book. It's great. Let me tell you about it. I'm the kind of person who locks in and is like, tell me about it. And so he does. And I'm like, all right, so where are you at? Well, I haven't started yet. You got to fucking start it today, man. You got to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm always on that guy. Like, write this book.
Yeah, 100%. That's like, I have like a lot of friends that are just such talented musicians, and they'll send me like, oh yeah, I'm working on this, or like, and they'll send me like demos or this or that. And then like, that's probably their biggest mistake ever, because as soon as they do that, I will be constantly like, hey, when you putting that thing out? What you work on it anymore? Like, because I just like, I get really psyched on my friends and people that I care about doing cool stuff like that. And like, I don't want them to think back like, oh shit, I was making all this cool stuff and I just never did anything with it. So
that could, I mean, and sometimes it's a work ethic thing. Some people are not built for the grind of finishing projects or shit like that.
Yeah.
But other times it is a scared at the edge of the pool thing.
Yeah.
Diving board, like, afraid to jump. And that's the guy with the book, right? The guy who has the book all figured out, but hasn't started it. He's at the edge of the diving board, like.
Yeah. Well, it's like putting out music and art, and like you said, like anything like that is just like so vulnerable. You're just there. You're so like, you're just standing there for everyone to you're standing up on a thing, and it's just everyone just looking at you.
Right.
And it's scary because, if you're being true to yourself and you're putting out stuff that is really you, that like is 100% in fact you, then it's extremely scary, because you're just putting yourself out there for people to dissect and criticize and say whatever they want, because maybe they never did anything like that, so they don't have anything out there like that, so they think they can just say whatever they want to. And it hurts sometimes, obviously, but like, it's part of life, you know what I mean? Like, people are going to say stuff no matter what. You're not going to win with everyone, like I said. And if it's true to you, like, fuck it. Like,
right.
You just got to do it. And as much as it's scary, it's like, it's also like, you let go, and it's just like, you feel great. You're scared, and then as soon as you let go, it's like, what's going to happen is going to happen. And it's just like a weight off your shoulders at that point as well. But it's like, to let go, it's very tough sometimes.
It's the difference in the aftertaste, right? Like, after you've really done the shit how you wanted to do it, it's amazing. The weight lifted is amazing. You just like clear it all out and start again. But if you didn't fucking do it the way you wanted to do it, it's a
souring taste.
Yeah, no, that's bad. So, but going from the production sound of Way of the World to the sound of Pop 1967 Manual Labor. So it sounds like after that organic process, put that out, COVID's here, and you're just kind of with yourself, just making this music, producing it yourself, making it yourself. What were you hoping to achieve with the sound? Because it's a very different sound than Way to the World.
I honestly wasn't looking to achieve anything at all. I was so I always wanted to learn the production side of things. So I always like dabbled in it. I worked a lot with, like, when I was younger, I mean throughout my whole career, we'll say, I worked with producers that would send them things and be like, oh yeah, like this is exactly what I want. Like, so I was always on that. I always had like an ear for what I wanted to hear, and I could be like, I could explain things exactly so I could get the result that I wanted to get.
Right.
But like, kind of, it was like almost, but I didn't do it myself. So, they always see their own little way. So it's like almost there. But so I've been doing that for a long time. And I just didn't know the technical part of it. So once COVID hit and I lost my job, I was just home every day, and I was determined to like actually learn stuff and, take advantage of the actual time that I had to spend on things. Where as before, I would come home from work, I'd be like, during the day, I tell myself all day, like, oh yeah, when I'm done, I'm going to get this done and do this and do this. Then you get home and you're like, I just want to eat dinner and sit here. Like, I'm tired. So once I had the time, I was determined to use it in a good way to teach myself stuff and, get better at things and learn. So I just kind of just like sat a lot of hours and just kind of taught myself it enough where I was like, at first I was like, okay, this is pretty awful, but like, it's like achieving, it's there. It's very rough, but it's there. So I was like, I just need to like keep working through it and refine it. And so I did. I just kept working and kept working till I got to like this one beat I made, and I was like, damn, this is like not even awful. I was so psyched that it just didn't sound like completely terrible.
Right.
And then I just started sending all these beats to Donovan and being like, hey, like, oh yeah, I was made this and this. And he's like, yeah, man, this is actually like, this is pretty good. And so I just kept going. And really it was like, I listened to a lot of music just in general, all different types of music. So I was just kind of like going through the normal stuff, listening to music that I enjoy and being like, oh, that would be cool. And just kind of flipping things that I personally enjoyed already.
Right.
And then like you said, like, what was I trying to achieve? It was really just like, I was kind of, when I got to the point where I was making beats and I had refined it enough where, I could do a good enough job to make something that I would like use. I was kind of just like, oh yeah, I really like this. So I'd flip something, and then say I would flip like 3 or 4. There'd be like one that just really was just like yelling at me, like that made me really want to write. So it was kind of just like that. It was just making a lot of stuff. And then there was some stuff that I flipped that was like instantly just like, oh yeah, just like, I just needed to like start going in on it like immediately. And that's kind of just how the album came together. It was just me flipping a ton of shit. And then just those songs that are between those two projects are just like songs that were just like, oh yeah, like I just need to write to this immediately. And then that's what the projects became.
That's awesome. I mean, well, and for me, because we reviewed your project on the weekly show next to some really important, hard-hitting albums, and we were like, nothing sounds like this. Like, nothing sounds like Pop 1967. Was there a point where you figured that out, where you were like, damn, I don't think anything sounds like this. Like, this is different.
Honestly, it was, again, just like, I guess I kind of realized that like I was definitely doing something that was not necessarily like something I was hearing,
Yeah.
but I also I wasn't really thinking about it that much because, like I said, I was just listening to stuff I liked. I was like, oh, this is like I can make this work somehow. I was like, I know I can do this in a way where I can deliver it where it's still like a hip hop song, but maybe it's not like your norm, but like to me it's still hip hop. I mean, it doesn't have to all be the same thing to be, it's just kind of a variation, and I'm
Right.
just kind of like fusing some stuff. And it's just because of the sounds. I feel like some of the sounds are just sounds you don't really like hear in traditional hip hop production,
Right.
but just because they're not what you usually hear doesn't mean they aren't that still. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this sounds really cool. And I can definitely like, you know, bar out or whatever on this or do whatever. Just like the one song, like the Tangled Up in Drew, that was like, it was cool because it was like a different, it was, it was like the different, like, it wasn't like your typical, it was like a 3/4 or whatever.
Yep.
So it was like a cool challenge to like, write it in like a different way to
Right.
still make it work, but not, not like your average stuff.
Just I know. I've played this album for my son much too much. I'm probably a bad parent. But and he started singing "Everything Is Fine" or whatever in the back seat one day.
Mhm.
He started singing along with it. I was like, oh no. But it's very catchy, and I think it seems like if you are producing your own work successfully and rapping on it, if you find, like as you said, this may be non-traditional production sounds for hip hop, but they're traditional sounds in you, right? And you
Mhm.
find the traditional sounds for you that you're most comfortable on, and you put those in the beat, and then the rest of you just follows, right? Like
Mhm.
you're comfortable in that space, and that's where you do your best work, and that's where you're at. That's where Elucid's at. It's the same kind of find where what the beat in you and do it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It's honestly, it was just like the fact that it was something that I had, you know, really wanted to do for such a long time, and that I finally had got to the point where I could do it. I think I was just getting so psyched that I was that I was like, oh shit, like I made this is
right.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
that I just like wanted to write so badly then that it kind of like me making the beats like just fueled my writing even more than usual. And I think also a thing was with this record is that like, I mean, not with like Donovan or really not with anybody that I work with, really, because a lot of the people that I work with, I'm close with. But, people would send me stuff over time, and, I'd be thinking about these little like singing parts and whatever.
Right.
But it was like someone else's stuff. And I don't want people to be like, oh, what the fuck's this? You know what I mean?
Right. The same stuff.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly like, that's not what I wanted to hear on that.
Yeah.
So what I think when I like was making the stuff for myself, I was more just like, well, fuck it. Like I'm just gonna do exactly what I want to do because I made this. This is 100% me, and I don't, like I don't care. Like I want to do this. So I feel like it just kind of like helped me be more comfortable with exactly what I wanted to do with it because I was just making it myself, and I wasn't like, oh, now I made this and I gotta go throw it back to this dude and see like what he's gonna say about me doing this on this.
Right.
So
Right.
it was
Right.
kind of like it was like a freeing kind of thing to just be able to like fully realize like myself as an artist, like what I wanted to
Yep.
do and what I kind of had been like fucking around with on the side for a long time, like or in my head, like people are sending me beats and I'm like doing things on it, but then like I did never made it to the actual song because I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll scrap that. But
Right.
yeah, so it was cool to like finally just do that, just kind of do exactly what I wanted to do. And doing what I wanted to do wasn't anything specific. It was just like wherever this takes me,
Right.
we'll go there. So
That's
it
perfect.
was
Yeah.
fun.
No,
It was
yeah.
really fun to make. It was a really fun record to make.
Yeah. There are times when it feels like the greatest hip hop campfire record. When you get to like Guess I Always Knew and learning how to swim and like it kind of feels like that, and it's certainly funeral cake and stuff like it just there's a real gentle sway to it in a way that is interesting, but then there's real like straight hip hop shit on here. Pomplamoose to me is a straight up hip hop song. uh
Mm.
any weird genre bending going on. Uh, yeah, I was going to talk about, and there aren't many guests on here.
No.
So there's two guests, Darko, Ialive. Was the idea always to give yourself space in terms of, but it makes sense, right? You're discovering these things as you go along, the production
Mm.
wise.
Yeah.
You start writing and unleashing on it. After you were done, were you like, this thing doesn't, I don't need to make a bunch of calls to get a bunch of people on this, we're good?
Yeah. Um, that was like another thing with the process. I literally was just so engulfed in doing it that I just didn't even think about it. You know, I, when I was getting beats from other people and stuff, I would like, oh, I'd write some stuff like, oh yeah, I'll get this person or whatever. But like since I was doing it, I was just like fully engulfed. And then the two songs that ended up having guests, which was Pomplamoose, because I thought of Don when I flipped that immediately.
Right.
So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna like hit up Donovan. I'm gonna go over his house and I'm gonna show him this beat, and then I'm gonna tell him that he has to rap on it.
Right.
And then with Tony Hawk Pro Skater, um, me and Darko um, had talked about that song that I flipped for it, like right before I made, like it kind of like led me to make that beat more or less. We were just talking about the song and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna send you something. And then I made the beat and it seemed like to me that beat, well, just it's certain beats like I don't want to hear one person for too long on it. Like there's some songs that like make sense, that's like obviously most songs are, but there's some things that it's like this beat needs like variation. It needs another voice. And I thought both of those tracks were definitely those kinds of tracks. But like, yeah, so with Donovan, I like thought of him immediately when I was making the beat. And it just seemed like it just kind of like went along with who he is. And then Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I was talking to Darko about that song and then I flipped it and I sent it to him. So those two, just that's like how those came to be. But yeah, it's like I don't know, like I love collaborating with people. I feel like on like the record before that, I just had like that big posse cut that had like a bunch of dudes on it. And then like yeah, I think the record before that I only had Donovan on that. But yeah, like I don't know. It's just I'm always trying to work with people, but like how it goes with like people are always down to work, but then something. I'm not saying that people, it shit happens. It's just like I can either like not, it just doesn't line up a lot of the time. I feel like so because that posse cut on WOTW was supposed to have like 11 people. I was like trying to make it long as shit. And I think there's like 7 dudes on it, but there was supposed to be like 11 people on it. But that was one of the COVID things is like dudes that I was friends with like couldn't get it done because they couldn't like get it recorded. So But
No,
yeah,
that's
those yeah. So those how those two songs at least came to be with the features.
no, and it's great. I think it's great to have Darko on Tony Hawk Pro Skater. His flow is in such an incredible place right now.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Teenage Angst and Baloney and all these releases that he's had. He's really in an interesting zone as a
Yeah.
performer.
He's fully like I feel like he's like always obviously he's just like so fun to listen to and like honestly just he's one of my favorite people to watch live. He's just so like mesmerizing on stage. But he really like he's always been great obviously like the dude just says some of the shit that you just would never think of.
Never.
And he fully is just Darko is Darko. Like there's no one like him, but
Right.
he really has like come into his own recently, even more like more than ever. And he's just been really like doing his thing. Um, yeah. So and it was funny because I flipped that beat and I was gonna send it to him either way, but then I made it and I was like, this is just a fucking Darko beat. Like it just I could already hear him on it.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that the way, you know, whatever how I made it was just like really, really, you know, was like super Darko. And obviously he killed it. And then my man Angel, who's goes by Pages, he recorded and he recorded the whole record for me and he mixed it and mastered it. I like went out to Jersey where he's from and like recorded it all. And he sent me the first mix on it and with Darko stuff. And he had added all those little sound effects like the bubbles popping and stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. So it was just like animated it even more than Darko is animated. So
And it's so great to have like Darko and Ialive, two very different tones, like vocally, in the album. Just really gives a lot of flavor there. All right, we're gonna go with the tough question now. This is my least favorite thing about Andrew. Okay.
Okay.
I have a pet peeve with rappers who have too simple a name.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, Mike.
Yeah.
And now so I'm sitting in Google and I'm like, Andrew, rapper.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know.
Oh, where to
unsearchable. I know. It's I don't make it easy.
Unsearchable.
I know. I'm sorry.
YouTube's like, I don't know what you mean, man. I don't know. Andrew? Who's Andrew?
I know.
It's crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not helping myself at all there.
Just shove some nonsense words after Andrew, like Andrew the knife thrower, all one thing. You're good.
Yeah. I kind of I feel you, but I don't know. I feel like Andrew is just so it's just me. It's just like very simple and I mean obviously it's my fucking name. But that's you know what I mean? It's like there's no complication to it. It's just simply that. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not here being some like, you know, mythical creature or something. That's just is what it is. Because like I said, you know, I've definitely seen the music spread further with this record, but regardless, is if it didn't or not, or if it did or if it didn't, I would be still here doing the same exact thing.
And I guess, yeah, you're right in terms of if you create like an alternate personality rap persona, then you're stuck in interviews 20 years from now being like, all right, Slim Shady is the part of me that is over here. Marshall Mathers is the part of me that's over there. And that's
I do have alter egos though, so that's fine.
That's next album. We'll look forward to it.
Yeah, there's one out. There's an alter ego album out there.
That's awesome.
I'll send it to you.
Hit me.
I will.
So the other thing here is I teased this on Twitter. Losing Streak is my favorite first song of an album this year. I'm a big nerd for first songs.
Same.
And last year, my favorite was Ghostface Targaryen by Shrapnel. When was the choice made to open with that song? What process was that made?
As soon as I wrote that song, I said, this is going to be the first song on this record. Just immediately. It's just like that song kind of like, to me, it felt like it like described me, and kind of like showed what it was kind of like an introduction to what the album was.
Right.
It kind of like hit all those things. Like the sample was like not super hip hoppy. I mean, it's like, I mean, obviously there's definitely the elements there, but like it wasn't super hip hoppy. It starts off with like a half a cigarette sound singing voice, and then just like bars. And so I was like, this is like what I'm doing. You know, I'm like kind of flipping whatever I want, whether, you know, whatever it happens to sound like. I'm like gonna do some singing on here, singing, whatever, and like I'm just, you know, it's just kind of like dark comedy is how I kind of like describe what I do, is like kind of like dark comedy. So like I felt like that really encapsulated that whole, like kind of ended up what I did. Like when I started, I kind of was just doing, and then I kind of like sat back and said like, this is what I have. And I was like, well, this song seems like it kind of speaks for the whole. So
that's great
just,
to hear that you knew when you made it. And you were like, this is it. This is how we start.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I had a friend back in the day who said that the classical template of the best hip hop albums of all time is that the second best record on the album is the first track, and the best track is the last track. And I think Pop 1967 kind of does that. I think Losing Streak is fantastic, but I think Funeral Cake is just a perfect goodbye for the album. Yeah. So it's just very, yeah. And the first song is so important to give you the world of the whole album. And that really, Losing Streak does. It gives you that whole world of kind of loss, but moving on, acknowledgement. But yeah, light, jaunty kind of, we're moving here. You know, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just kind of how I felt about it. It seemed like I was summarizing the album for you before you listened to it. So,
Yep.
And like, yeah, honestly, that's definitely one of my favorite songs that I've ever made in the 15 years that I've done this. So I was definitely psyched on that one. And it just seemed like it made the most sense to be the way to start it. And it's funny too, because if you like dissect the record, where else would you put that record?
Oh, that's such a good point.
Like where would you put that? Like where could it sit? It's like first, or it's not there.
That's real. Yeah, no, it doesn't.
So
yeah, I mean, it was, and it's weird because I spent the first listen, I spent all of Frog Poster just still absorbed in Losing Streak, being like, wow. And yeah, but everybody, me was like, well, because first time I listened, I'm like, all right, Losing Streak is a one-off. This is the kind of artsy, rockish type record. And then this is gonna become a conventional. And it was like, wow, no, he does this. This is cool. Yeah, no, it's you stick to what you're great at, which is it's a relief, right? There are people who are great at singing and don't sing enough. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There are people who like are great at rapping but sing too much. There's like all these. It's hard to know what you're great at, the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a relief. Manual Labor, Temporary Blue, obviously another incredible song, but like direct and angry and hostile in a way that I really enjoy.
Thank you. Yeah, I was I was like super into Temporary Blue. That was like I honestly that was like hard not to put on Pop 1967. Um, but I kind of had the thought, like I recorded a lot of songs in the sessions that I did Pop 1967. And I kind of was like, yo, like not all of these songs are gonna go on this record, but like I feel like again, going back to the beginning of this interview,
Mhm.
we literally talked about how you make songs and then they don't see the light of day, and then they're just like you're like, oh well, that one song was cool, but yeah, it was like with a batch of other song or whatever. So I was like, honestly, I feel like all these other songs deserve to at least see the light of day. Maybe they're not like my best songs, like maybe not every one of them is like, oh man, this is like my favorite song, but like I'm like, yo, all these songs are worth putting out. And so that's kind of like how I was feeling. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna put out something to follow this like quickly after. So, and I thought Temporary Blue would have been like just a really good song to like start that. So I
Totally.
kind of like did the losing streak, kind of set it up with that.
I've always had an EP theory that an EP should be either like the last of a direction that you went on, right? Like you said, we did this, I got these hanging around, let me get this all out of my system. Or
Mhm.
like an experiment in a new direction, right? It should be kind of one or the other, right? Uh,
Okay.
because if you really want to fully explore something, you should kind of album the thing out, right?
100%.
But if you're just kind of dipping your toe in the water in a different way to see if it works, an EP is perfect for that. Uh, and maybe it grows or maybe it doesn't. But yeah, it
Yep.
seems like Manual Labor was like, I also have this. Why don't I just also
Yeah.
it's not lost? Yeah.
Well, that was kind of just my whole deal. Is like, I was like, well, people don't even have attention span to listen to an EP these days. So I'm not about to put out a 20 song record.
No.
So that's how Pop 1967. And then I was like, all right, well, I still want to put these songs out. So that was why it was an EP. But I mean, it's funny because like at the same time as they're like cohesive with Pop 1967, I feel like they still kind of have their own personality as well. So they kind of like work together. They work on their own, like they work as separate projects. Like you could listen to them separately, or you can listen to them at flow through, and they still, are cohesive. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep making some shit. So
a good a good indication of the dark comedy brand here. I love the Pop 1967 cover. Um, it's
yeah, that's definitely, it came out so good. It's just ridiculous.
so good, and it was just it's such a great because the comedy inherent in this is like most rappers have to do exciting things. You know,
Hmm.
have to be like holding a gun to a mafioso on the cover, um, and you're just like in your bed with your cats. Um,
Yep.
that's just
It's funny, but it's like, this is life, man. Like I
life.
fucking worked all day and now I'm tired and I'm gonna go to sleep, and my cats are usually sitting right there, and that's just it sums up like regular life. So, and it just came out as a great painting. So it's funny. It was just like the photo, and then I was like, man, this is just a good photo. And then I sent it to my buddy in New York, who's like, he's a really awesome painter, and I it was funny. So I saw one of his paintings like at one point, like shortly before that, and it was just a painting of someone in a bodega, and and like the bodega, there's like a fucking wall with like a million little like things all over the wall, and he had literally painted every little detail of them, and it looked so great. And then I saw that photo and I was like, ah, yeah, you're just gonna have to do this, because it's like it like made me think of it, and he killed it, and it's like just incredible.
I told my son, because we've been going over art a lot and like trying to think about art a lot, and I said, when you get a comic book, look at the city, look behind the main characters, see how much effort they put in the city. You know, the windows and the lights and the stars, and
yeah, because it's not just the main things that matter.
And look at that background, and that's when you start to understand the art behind this. It's not just Batman; it's Gotham City, and that's beautiful. And it does. It has all those details. So
yeah, like I said, I saw the one bodega one he did, and I was like, yeah, this like he's gonna do exactly what I want here. So, and he delivered beyond what I'd hoped. So I'm really psyched on that cover though. Yeah, it's funny. That's the one thing. So like I've definitely been getting a lot of good feedback. The album's been spread further than I have probably, I've reached more people, like more new people than I ever have with any project. But this definitely, like, this project is a departure for me in general from the past. But then so obviously the sound, but the one thing is that every single person's like, this fucking album cover is great. Like everybody, which is good, because it's like funny. Like I put it in perspective of like beers. Like everybody makes craft beers now, and like there's a million beers, and you don't know which ones are good or which ones are not, because there's so many, you just like can't keep up. And there's these really good craft breweries that make these beers, and their branding is terrible, and like all their labels are awful. And it's like, yo, if you're gonna make like a good product, like make the art and make what's gonna represent you, like match that. Because people are gonna go into a thing, and most people, like, unless they know more than the average Joe, they're gonna like pick the one that looks better to them, because some brands that make shit beer have great branding. So I mean, if you're gonna make something you're proud of, and you're gonna do you're gonna work hard and do a really good job on it, like do it all the way, not just partially. So
yeah,
like that's why with that cover I was like, yeah, I need to, like, I made the record and I was like, yeah, like I need to like make sure this cover is like just as catching as the music that I'm putting on it.
yeah, no, I mean, and I tell you, I started this website 2011ish, and right in the mixtape era, and I couldn't, when you went on those Dat Piff sites and live mix, all those sites, and just taking shots, just listening to whoever was around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 100% of the time, if the cover sucked, the thing sucked, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like it was definitely more common that if you like some shitty ass cover, it was like not as good. I mean, obviously it's not a foolproof method, but like a lot of the time it kind of like it looked like crap and it sounded like crap.
And it's it's just like, you took the effort to make this cover beautiful. Let me fully engage with it and see what's going on here. And I think that's, more people need to take that seriously, especially when, because I just talked to Josh Virtue from Chicago, You the Baby, Y Records, and Josh Virtue said something. He said that your album exists in 3 timelines. It exists when you recorded it, when you released it, and where you are now. And that's pivotal in the sense that if you nailed the artwork and you nailed the album, you get to look at that like a successful wedding album and be like, that was fucking good. We fucking did
that. Absolutely. Yeah, you want to look back at it in all aspects and be like proud of it.
100%. Uh, it's and so the interesting part about manual labor is the last three songs specifically are, I think, the darkest points of your year. Uh,
Mm.
you know, we talk about it's kind of dark in here, slow down dance, comedy of errors. It's I don't know, that really it drills down into your point of the human condition getting kind of shitty.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely like it was like temporary blue, and then you walk your way down the stairs
Yeah, no,
for
and
sure.
Bat out of heaven is pretty cool, but it is like dipping into that.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. It's
yeah,
definitely leading you there, but it's a
right.
pop song, straight up. Like I can't describe that song in any other way than just it's a pop song. It's funny because that was one I was like, I don't know, like this could like this is even more of a departure than this other stuff, and I was like, you know what, like, fuck it, this is like whatever. I like made this, and this is I was doing this, and whatever. It's like it was fun, and it was just kind of like me trying to. I was just doing what I felt like doing, so I was like, whatever, I'll just put it on here.
No,
Here we are.
you
So,
can feel like the lighter
but
sway.
yeah, that's definitely like
Yeah,
a depressing pop song, we'll say, more or less.
yeah. No, but you can't worry about it in terms of the. Oh, are you still there? Because your picture's frozen. Oh, pausing. Oh, so the other thing is we're talking about, and I got the chance to sit down with Darko about "You Don't Deserve This Beautiful Art," do kind of an overview of the label.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been a super stand-up dude in any interactions with me. Uh,
Yeah,
Incredibly sincere.
yeah, he's a great guy.
And so, what? How is the experience on "You Don't Deserve This Beautiful Art"? How was?
Uh, I mean, that's why I did the record with him. Like I met him through Donovan, through like Hellhole Store stuff, and just like met him in person a bunch. Like we played like shows together and whatnot, and he was just awesome, awesome dude. And the last couple albums, obviously, I put out on Cold Rhymes with like Donovan and Height, um, and like I love those guys, and that was great to work with them too. But I feel like with "You Don't Deserve This Beautiful Art," Darko is like super. Um, he's just very easy to work with in a way where like I came to him and I was like, "Hey, I'm working on this album. I don't know if you want to put it out. Uh, I am waiting on the mixes, so I don't know when I'm gonna have it. But as soon as I get it, I just want to put it out. Like, because I'd finished recording this record in like the end of 2020, like it's like probably like November or something, and I
Yeah,
was just waiting for a while for the mixes because my boy who was doing it, he had like a giant stack of work on his plate, and he just had so much stuff, which is fine. And like obviously this project was big, so it was a lot. It was like a big undertaking
sure.
for him. So I was like talking to Darko. I was like, yeah, like I was gonna put it out with Cold Rhymes, but they have like a lot of stuff slated for times to drop, and like the proper like rollout. And I was like, honestly, I just want to, as soon as I get this album, I just want to put it out. I don't want to like wait at all. So he was like, yeah, 100%. Like I'm down. So,
It's awesome.
yeah, so which was great. So I was able to like, I sent him, he said like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I hadn't even sent him anything yet, but obviously he knows me. So at least he knew
Right.
somewhat. So I was like, awesome. And then I sent him like, the first song or like single, whatever a single is anymore. But yeah,
Right.
so like the first song to drop for it. and he was like, yeah, like I'm super into it. Like I'm like down. Just let me know when you get the mixes, and we'll like get it out ASAP. So it was really cool that he's just very like flexible, and it was nice just because like I understand the need for, like a schedule and, proper time to promote things and whatever. But also like I think there's like a time and place just to be like, I just want to put this out. And Darko really allowed me to do that. And it was really nice because obviously he put out the record for me and also promoted it too, and did all that as well, in a short time frame, which was nice. And I appreciate that because like I said, I worked hard on this record, and I really like was proud of it. And I was waiting on it for a minute. So I was just really wanted to just get it out there and get it off my plate so I could like move forward. Like I couldn't just be like, oh yeah, let me wait 3 more months. Like, no, get this thing off me. I need to like continue making music, but I couldn't focus on recording new stuff because like I was still thinking about this, like that wasn't even out.
Right.
But so yeah, Darko is great. I mean, I just talk to him like pretty regularly anyway. Just about whatever. So it was, he's super easy to work with, and it was just a great experience. So I really appreciate that he worked with me with my short time frame and helped me out with that. We also got cassettes of it coming out as well. Cool. So yeah, we hit the order for the cassettes a bit ago, so they should be here soon. So yeah, so I have that. I like adapted the artwork for the cassette cover and everything. So it's the same album but the cover, but like I made it work for the tape. So, it'll be a physical. Cool. Yeah. And then I'm hoping to like have a couple videos maybe at some point for it. And yeah, so still going to do a few things with Pop, but yeah, so it's cool. Yeah. So he definitely was super made me feel a lot like better about just being able to get it right out there. So shout out to Darko for that.
Yeah, no, and it's the thing about the way Darko conducts it is that he kind of keeps his audience on their toes anyway, right?
Mm.
You saw that with the Electric Banana stuff, and just like, you know what, be ready for me to drop anything. You know,
like that man puts out more music than anybody. So
and
he understands. That's why I was like, hey man, I want to put out this record immediately. So
and he gets it, but he's also just, if you condition your audience to understand, look, it's going to hit all genres, it's going to be all over the place, but it's going to be great, trust me, and you pay that off enough,
yeah,
and that's the people that follow that label. It's really great. I think it's a cool little niche there. So
it definitely is cool. He's definitely doing a lot of different stuff, like some really cool stuff though. So it's cool like that he's just helping people put out music as well, which is great. So I mean, there's a lot of talented people that don't have a platform. So he's definitely helping a lot of people, which is great.
I think Torito's is he's one of my favorites. Just
Torito's great.
I love
he's
Torito
the best
so much. I was talking to him, I was like, he's the Benny the Butcher of nerd rap. He's so serious and he's so good and he conducts all his shit, but it's the funniest, weirdest references. He's awesome.
Yeah. Definitely. He says so many words in a verse.
Yes.
Like, and he's the type of dude that like I listen to like his shit. I like listen to his verse like just per se on like 475 that was on W2W, and it's like he says so much that like you every time you listen to it you like pick up more on like a little part of it, which is cool. It's like you're like peeling back the layers.
yeah, it's funny, but he's a rapper's rapper, like straight up.
Yeah, absolutely.
No fucking joke. And I mean, that's obviously same for you with like, I'm in a doom mood. That's a palindrome. Like, you have a lot of really high level wordplay that's like good shit.
Thank you.
And to me, that's the heart of it. Is like as experimental as you get. Oh no, the cat's eating Chinese food. So what are you gonna? But yeah, no, it's as experimental as it gets. It's like this is a fucking rap album, and don't forget it. This is not
Yeah,
not fucking around. Yeah,
100%. And that's kind of like you hit it on the head there. Like that's kind of the point. Is like, yeah, I'm doing this or doing that, but like I'm not just like here giving you some like a couple rap lines just to like go along with this song I made. Like this is a rap song. Yes, there's other elements to it. Maybe the sounds aren't traditional, but like this is a rap song. And this is like that's why it's here. Like the other things are just pieces to it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I just love like writing so much. So it's definitely like I love writing just like bars. It's so fun, but it's really nice to like be able to like just do different things just because it kind of just creates space more for like the bars. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I like songs when people sometimes are just like literally like rapping their ass off, like just fucking going hard. But like it's also nice when there's like a break and
Right.
like there's a different element that kind of breaks it up and kind of makes it like work even better than if it was just straight through. Some things are good for that, but not everything. So
Right.
I mean,
It's not that everybody needs to do hooks and bridges or whatever. It's that you like you kind of have to know the fundamentals before you can redefine the fundamentals,
mm,
uh, and have the skill sets in your pocket so that you can use them when you need them. Don't skip over them, right? Um,
absolutely.
and so that seems to be, where we're at. It's an interesting question. I've had some interesting answers. I really only reserve this kind of question for people that I think are really interesting and will give interesting answers. This is what is your favorite non-rap album of the last 10 years?
The last 10 years. Wow. That's a really hard question
I asked
because
this to Doof, and Doof is incredible. And he said The Ooze by King Cruel, which was a good pull.
King Cruel is good. Fuck. That's a hard question.
I give you mine.
Yeah.
I'm still Fiona Apple, Idler Wheel 2013. That's where my heart is.
I still like listen to Fiona Apple Shadow Boxer on a regular basis
She is.
because it's just tremendous. I'm just being work, just like singing. People are just looking at me like, this is what's happening right now. I'm sorry.
No, I think she's one of the talents of my generation. We talk about I'm 41. We talk about the people who define my generation. She'll be one of the names.
Fiona Apple is someone I'll never forget. Just like, I don't know, where are you from, Dan?
I'm in Maine. Yep.
Maine. Okay. So I don't know where this existed and where it didn't exist, but there was this thing on cable back when I was like 12 or so, maybe. It was called The Box.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just music videos, like strictly, like there wasn't like anything. It was just you could call in and just request music videos.
Yep.
And I remember that I saw a Fiona Apple Criminal music video when I was like 12 and being like, what is this? Like being so like, is this pornography? Like what? She's like in a bathtub and shit. And you're just like,
with the feet.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, oh, and that song is so like, it's like mysterious and like very like kind of like a way. And then like this, the sounds. And then you just see her and like oh man, I remember, I'll never forget that. So
yeah,
shout out to Fiona Apple.
And there was a sense of Shakespearean guilt kind of running through her writing.
She's a great writer.
She was carrying so much and articulating so much. When Idler Wheel broke, the song Werewolf, which is like right in the middle, became like the breakup song that was like the breakup song theme from my wife's friend, and for like we kind of communicated through each other, and we're like, you got to hear this, you know.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. The beautiful.
Shit, that I literally listen to so much stuff. I'm just like, I know what I also have a hard time thinking about. Like, for me, like 2000 was in the last 10 years.
Oh, that's
yeah. I'm like, what? Yeah. So 2011? Like, oh shit, that's 10 years.
Yep. Time doesn't make sense. But.
It really doesn't. Fuck, I'm trying to think of some of the albums I've been really running hard. Yep. And then I'm like, did this album even come out in the last 10 years?
Let's take 10 years out of it. Let's just take 10 years out of it.
Oh man. Let's see here.
But yeah, no, it's
I'm gonna take a walk with you still obviously.
Yeah. No, but that's it's one of the cool things about hip hop is that hip hop does touch all these different genres and interact with them in a real way.
So much.
Yeah. So it's
so much. And that's like for me is like I am inspired by so much stuff like outside of hip hop, you know, that like I feel like that's kind of like one of the reasons that like the record sounds like it does, because you know I'm just kind of listening to what I listen to, and I feel like a lot of it is like not necessarily like the same place that's like traffic to find a sample or something, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just kind of like, oh, this is just, and I'll like see a little part. I'll like hear something and be like, oh yeah, like I can like just use this one little thing to like make this work.
Right. Yep.
So that's kind of like, I feel like that's kind of like why the whole album sounds like it does.
Right.
Let's see here. So when did this album come out?
So yeah, if you were to say the albums that like really influenced pop 1967 and how it sounds, what comes to mind off the bat?
Man, I don't even know. I feel like I'm like super influenced songwriting wise by a lot of like singer songwriters, like one of my always trafficked is like Jason Molina, like Songs Ohio, like Magnolia Electric Company. That dude was just like a crazy great writer. Like Elliott Smith is probably my favorite. He's just like you know, that dude is my favorite like musician, just kind of in general. His and it's funny because it's like, so there's a lot of it's weird to say, but like there's a lot of influence in that album from that, especially with like my singing parts, because if you like listen to a lot of his records, he layers the shit out of like all like his vocals are super layered. Yes. So when me like trying to sing and stuff, because I'm not a singer by any means, like I just would do different layers, like layers on layers, to kind of like create this like wall of sound, kind of like that, like kind of brings it all in. And like that was just from listening to him over like forever, is just like, all right, well, that's what he is doing. So I guess like I'm gonna try to like stack these to like see what happens. And I was like, oh, this is actually not the worst thing ever. A super big album for me that I've been like running forever is the Roots Tipping Point. I mean, in Philadelphia, obviously, Black Thought is just like better than everybody ever. So there's that. Yeah. But like Tipping Point was just like, I don't know what it was about Tipping Point that really like, I feel like it's a random album, but
it is. Yeah.
Like that album to me is just like, I fucking love it. One of the most like inspirational rap songs to me ever that like really Black Thought made me want to write rap songs because it was just so like, this is incredible. Like, this is just like, his wordplay is just like insane. And his delivery is just, I mean, obviously the dude is just on another level, but the song Web on that record, I don't know if you know it off top. So that song was just like, was and is like super, super, that's like the one of my favorite songs ever. Just still like, I just, it's so inspirational to me because it's like literally nothing but a drum break and a bass line that's just like, I don't like nothing. There's really not much. It's just, and he just fucking what he does on that is just so impressive that it just like completely drew me in like, oh yeah, this is the best thing ever. So that record is really, it's funny, like I said, because it's like Tipping Point. When you think of the Roots, people are like, oh yeah, the Roots, like you don't think a Tipping Point is like the best Roots record. It's like a random Roots record. Totally. But that was like at the time, I think, at the time of my life and at the time like of writing and stuff, it was so, I think it was just like right in front of me and I just like really connected with it. Just because like, I mean, Black Thought is always good and the Roots are just like so musical that, you know, that kind of like drove me to be like, okay, like this is like something I want to do. Like, you know, like not just, you know, it can be more than just, you know, what you're at. It was definitely like like something that I saw as like a very influential thing because it was just more than most. But
and yeah, I'm always interested in like the non-classic albums by an artist that has classics, right? Like I'm always attracted to, well, what about before that? What about after that? Because like I want to see how good you are outside of that pocket, right? Of like your work. And yeah, no, Black Thought has real high points on like every album, you know, every Roots album.
100%. Yeah, like because that album came out in 2004, so I was like in high school listening to that, like, and I started like I really actually started rapping in like 2006, and it's just like, you know, just listening to Web like on repeat all the time. Like I still just listen to that song because it's so good, and yeah, like that was just so influential to me at the time, like, and that's because, you know, like right around that time is when I started like actually trying to write and like trying to do it. And it was funny. So like in college, I had like a public speaking class and we could, for our final, we could do any published work. And I did Web by the Roots as my final project. I just did it like spoken word style, obviously, but like I didn't get the beat or anything, but yeah, I just like I did that because I listened to that song so many times that I just knew every single word.
It's home court advantage at that point. That's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like that's probably the most influential song to me as like as starting out as like trying to be a writer. That song.
That's incredible. No, so, and when you talked about Elliott Smith, the first thing I thought about uh, off XO was Baby Britain, right? Because
Mm.
like I remember when because I didn't listen to Elliott Smith a lot, uh, but then because it was part of the really like the sad kind of Jeff Buckley singer songwriter with Damage kind of sub,
100%. Yeah, 100%.
and I was like, But then when I listened to Elliott Smith, I was like, nah, man, this shit is like warm. There's a real kind of innate warmth to his delivery and his
100%.
and I was like, it doesn't feel sad to me for some reason because I don't know, because of that, because of the textures of what he's putting out. So I can see how that works with the dark comedy that you do.
For sure. And the thing is like that there's just so much like musicianship and like craft in the writing and like and the way that it's recorded. Like it's just it's not even if you just like take it beyond like what you're actually listening to, just to look at like how they're doing it, it's like that's something to just like, you know, look at to even like get inspiration from. Like the way that he's such a good songwriter, but like it's just the way that they did everything was really like definitely influential in the way that I kind of approached doing stuff when I started doing it myself, which is really random because it's like fucking Elliott Smith and hip hop. It doesn't even make sense, but yeah, I don't
But
know.
he was super DIY. He was super like, you know, low key, lo-fi, like just ground floor. But he ended up like on the Grammy stage playing like a major soundtrack song. Like
Yeah,
he, you
like
know,
he was in the running against Celine Dion
yes,
for
yes,
fucking My Heart Will Go On from the
right,
Titanic. Like, why you even got me up here? Like,
right.
everyone knows Celine Dion's gonna win this shit, but in his cheap white suit. But yeah, it's funny.
No, but it's crazy that he was able to just do all this himself, really low key, and get to
Mm,
that height. He's a good person to listen to if you want to like believe that anything's possible, right? If you're just like
100%.
a ton of
Like
money,
all the first records are just like recorded on an 8 track, like with nothing, and then it just kind of like it got built up to there, and like you said, like he ended up there was the songs in the Gus Van Sant movie, and that's why he was up there for the thing with Celine Dion. But it's like, yeah, like I mean, it started off just as doing it yourself, and it turned into a lot more. So
it's
it's
awesome.
definitely like, you know, what you're saying. It's like you can start off, you know, very small, and you can reach a lot further than you realize.
Yeah, man. No, I think that is the place to end it. That is where we're at. I think I appreciate you uh, giving me the time here. I it's great to talk to you because you are definitely one of the voices that I've discovered this year, who's been just really exciting to listen to. Uh,
Thank
you know,
you. I really appreciate all like the love that you give in the record. Like honestly, I'm just like I said, I'm just thankful that, you know, some stuff that I'm making is can resonate with people, or, you know, be something that people can kind of vibe with and like enjoy. It's just it's cool because I love music, and I live to like I need to make music to operate it on a day-to-day basis. Like this is I need it 100%. So the fact that, you know, I was able, especially with this project, to make something that I feel like a lot of people were, you know, very much like caught off guard by, and really kind of like seem to be super into it, is like just you know, it's super cool. And I yeah, like I'm just grateful for anybody that's, you know, listened to the record. It's just really nice. It's kind of so thank you for having me, and you know, thank you for running the projects. So you'll have to send me your address. I'll send you a tape once we get them.
ooh, let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I mean, it was weird when people used to go up to me and say, you know, what what drives you to write or whatever. I think I settled on an answer that was, I don't feel good if I'm not. Like my brain doesn't feel good if I'm
Yeah.
not.
I can't not write. I just can't. Like it's like just an essential part of me. I'm gonna write whether it's good or bad. I just need to write to be. So
that's it. So yeah, I mean that's the place for it. And yeah, I appreciate coming on and as earnest as you are, and keep me abreast of all activities. Email me, let me know.
I will. And before we close out, I will say that I am gonna put out a new record hopefully this year with Zilla on $3 Pistol. So I was just recording some today. I'm about 85% done recording it. It's another all the way self-produced record. I don't think there's any features at all on this one. So yeah, it's just more of, honestly, it's like, I feel like it's in the vein of Pop 1967 and Manual Labor, but I also feel like it's like a progression beyond it, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. But it's definitely me. There's a lot of more stuff going on there, and yeah, so I'm really excited to get it going. I'm gonna finish up recording the last few tracks for it. And I got another. This definitely, the first song on it is one of my favorites. So hopefully you'll feel the same.
I love it.
But yeah, so I'm trying to get that out this year with Zilla and $3 Pistol. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I'll inform you more when I know more. But hopefully, I'm gonna get this done and out to someone to hopefully get in someone's hands for mixing before August. So
yeah, I mean,
so I'm hoping to get out that record this year.
Yeah, follow $3 Pistol on Bandcamp. Zilla gives great updates, and I would say it's really good advice. This kind of Zilla advice of it seems what his game plan has been. Right, he's been doing Call Out Culture podcast and bumping into these great musicians, great albums, and he just chases down the people who made the albums and works with them. He's just like,
Yeah.
You know, he found your record, he loved your record, he told me about it. And then he's like, I'm recording with Andrew.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we had like played a show. We had like did some stuff, played the shows together before, like one or two maybe. And like, I don't know, but it's just, honestly, it just goes to show with this record, like it was just a departure from everything else. And like, it struck a chord with way more people than I thought it would. And like, he just happened to be one of them that he listened to the record and was just like, yeah, like, I don't know, you like turned a corner or something, and like kind of found yourself, which I feel like I did. And I guess it just took me starting to like make stuff for myself and doing exactly what I wanted to do that. But yeah, so like I said, I got a right to be, and I'm just like, I just been making and writing, so I'm just gonna keep pumping away. And yeah, I'm gonna try to get at least that record out this year. And I've been working on like a bunch of other stuff too. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, finding your own fully formed like voice and style is like becoming your own flavor. Like in the
absolutely
barbecue place, like that bin of sauces that they have, and you're like,
I like that. That's a good one.
Oh shit, that's the one. You know, you've become your
own
flavor.
Yeah, and when you finally find it, it's very, it's like, it's, it takes some time sometimes. Like I said, I've been at it for 15 years, so it's I guess it just took all it takes is one thing sometimes, and that's what it took.
You got the direction. Keep me in the loop. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, Liz Cambage, for everything you do.